Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and a few years ago, Lexus finally filled a gaping hole in their SUV lineup. For the longest time, if you were a Lexus shopper, you couldn't get a comfortable, non-body-on-frame, large Lexus SUV. You had the RX, which has been around for over 20 years or so, I think at this point, and was great for shoppers looking for a comfortably sized two-row crossover. But if you wanted anything larger than that, you had to step up to the GX or the LX, which were both body-on-frame, essentially trucks used as passenger vehicles. And those are cool and nice and very off-road capable, but not comfortable, luxurious, and efficient like a unibody crossover. So finally, in 2024, we got this, the Lexus TX. It's based off its Toyota sibling, the Grand Highlander. Comes in a few different powertrain options, a normal gasoline only, a hybrid, and then this, the 550h plug-in hybrid, which pairs the great Toyota 3.5-liter V6 up with 3 electric motors, I think technically, if I'm not mistaken, for just over 400 horsepower, and with the EPA estimates will be about 33 miles of electric-only driving. For its third year on the market now, we see some minor updates, including this Matador red mica paint. I think for 2025 we saw the introduction of an F-Sport handling package with this 550h. But either way, this is about the most expensive Lexus TX you can get. It's $86,000. It's the luxury model. It's got everything from panoramic sunroof to ventilated second row seats, and like I said, that hybrid powertrain. So we've been spending the week with it, shuttling family around, using it as it's been intended, and it's an interesting sort of vehicle to consider. So let's get in, talk about our pros and cons, go for a drive. But if you do want to see more on it, check the links below. We have a dedicated review of the Mark Levinson audio system. That was admittedly probably the biggest reason I got back into the TX here, was to see if they had improved upon their Mark Levinson sound systems. Spoiler alert, they have not. So check the link below if you want to see our full breakdown on that one. We also have a highway fuel economy test here, where we test how far you can go on electricity alone, traveling at highway speeds, and then go out and do the test with gasoline alone and see what sort of fuel economy you can expect. But quick shout out here to our video sponsor, LazFit. LazFit sponsors just about all of our vehicles at this point. I love working with them because their mats are well priced, and they work so gosh darn well. So as we can see here, power open this row, and there's a little bit of bend here because these were sitting in a box for so long. But the LazFit mats 3D measured and cut so that they're perfectly fitting in and around the vehicle. That's what I've really liked about using them, is they tuck so well into all the little nooks and crannies. But then check out this functionality. Power up these third row seats, and it's got this little accordion effect that tucks down in. And because those are velcroed onto the back, even though you have to wait forever for the seats to come up, look how nicely that works out there. Yeah. And then that keeps that covered. And you can see it is a little dirty because we've been loading Eve's car seat in and out, and I've had luggage in there and everything. Keeps everything nicely covered, protected. Same thing getting into the third and second rows. Very nice tray set up right here going over the middle hump. If you live in a snowy or dirty climate and you're having people get in with messy boots or anything like that, you're very much going to appreciate the setup of these liners going well under all of the seats. So easy to install, take out, clean, everything like that. And of course we see it up in the front. One that's probably getting used the most covers the sill, which is good because this one has this nice kind of aluminum kick plate here. So having that protected from your shoes getting in and out daily, you're definitely going to appreciate that. And they latch down right to the factory anchor points there. So if you got a TX or really any other vehicle, check the link below to get yourself 18% off a set of LazFit mats. You also help support us, so big shout out to them. Let's get right into our pros here with the functionality of the TX. We test so many vehicles here at Daily Motor, and when I can get in them and simply live my life and use the vehicle as it's intended with very little interruption or hiccup or delay for having to figure things out, that is so welcoming to me. The fact that when you want to use the third row, you click that, although look at here in real time, the seat's not working. There we go. I had to nudge it a little bit, but you get on in, and then the third row seats work well. Everything very straightforward, easy to use, simple, nicely laid out. Same thing with the front. Cup holders work very well. Infotainment, simple but straightforward. Aside from the steering wheel controls, which we will talk about here in a little bit, everything works really nicely. Oh look, real physical controls for climate in the back. Why couldn't they do that for the front? And then we see my next pro as well, the third row. Ultimately, the TX is being purchased by shoppers who need to genuinely use their third row regularly, and I am a 5'10" adult, and I sit back here quite comfortably. I'm nice and upright. Yeah, my feet have to tuck in a little bit to the side, but I could also kind of straddle like this. Can sit, I mean, there's not a ton of cushioning in this seat, but I could be back here for a while. I've got 2 cup holders, even the ability to recline, and I have USB-C PowerPoint on each side. So you could put full-size adults, teenagers, anything like that back here regularly. There's a good amount of room, surprisingly useful. Definitely feels like a vehicle that was well thought out from the product planning and general layout perspective. Same thing with the third row. You saw how easily these seats went up and down. I remember reviewing a few General Motors products throughout the last 6 months or so where when you try to lay the third row down, they get stuck on the second row. That never happens here with the TX. It's almost like they engineered it a little better. What a concept. Next pro, behind the wheel here, starting it up. It's a plug-in hybrid. And that's actually going to go in as a pro and a con in this vehicle, or in this video. A little spoiler alert. Let's start with the pros of a plug-in hybrid. First of all, so smooth and so quiet. This is a very nicely calibrated plug-in hybrid vehicle, and having the 3 electric motors, it's quite powerful as well. So you can do all of your driving. You can really accelerate with proper gusto using electricity only. And you got a 13 kilowatt hour battery pack, which gets you minimum from what we saw on our highway test, about 28 miles of electric only range. But if you're driving around the city, you should be able to see mid-30s no problem. Not only that, but you get the benefits of charging up at home, theoretically, with not very expensive electricity, making it so that it's going to be quite a bit less expensive to run this as opposed to putting premium gasoline in it. And then there's that added efficiency as well of when you're slowing down, such as coming up to this utility truck right now, I'm using regen to restore kinetic energy back into my battery and be a little bit more energy efficient there. So definitely pros to having a plug-in hybrid. And as somebody who's a little bit of a car nerd and an electricity nerd, I do like it. I do like using the plug-in hybrid aspect of this car. It's been nice. So the fact that Lexus does offer it, but then also offers a normal hybrid and a gas-only option, who am I to complain about choices? Then, on top of the plug-in hybrid, you also have the 3.5 liter V6, which means, now that we have the engine on here, it's kind of warming up so you don't hear it working too much, but when you do need to use the gasoline engine, you have a great, powerful, smooth engine to back up the hybrid system. It's not like we're firing up the engine here and you've got a little inline 4 or turbo or anything screaming out. No, you've got a robust, reliable, and versatile V6 engine in here. It's still going to be reliable. It's still going to be nice to drive. So I appreciate that. You got the powerful plug-in hybrid, and then you also have a great 3.5 liter V6. The last pro is what I call the T factor, and I started this with the Toyota Sienna that we had last week. Technically speaking, this is a Lexus, but for those of you who have not put it together yet, oh, there's a TX right there. Lexus is the luxury version of Toyota, and there's a certain reason that many people choose to purchase Lexus and Toyota vehicles. It's a little bit more than just simply reliability. It's a trust in the manufacturer to stand by their products. You're somebody like me. You review cars all the time. You recommend cars. You follow the news, everything. You get a company like GM. If they have an issue, whether they know about it or they didn't know about it and they discover it, they're going to do everything they can to downplay the issue, to litigate the issue, to make it so they don't have to pay any more than possible, all the way to the point where they'll consider, is it going to cost us less to have lawsuits about this or do a recall? Whereas Toyota has more of a reputation of, hey, our products aren't working properly. What can we do to fix them, to improve upon them, to make it so our reputation isn't tarnished? And they'll go to great lengths to make that the case. So I respect and appreciate that, and if I'm going to purchase a vehicle and own it for a long time, I want to own one from a company that handles themselves that way. And not only that, typically a Lexus dealership experience is pleasant and more enjoyable than dealing with many other dealerships. Typically luxury vehicle dealerships in general are quite good, but I've usually heard pretty good things about Lexus dealers. So aside from the physical car itself, there's more reason that people typically choose to purchase Lexuses and Toyotas, and that can't be ignored. Coming back here static for my cons, and typically this is a great segue to go into styling, and styling is a con. However, the sound system is so much stronger of a con that it has to go first. It has to be the first con. This 550h Plus luxury model features the 21-speaker Mark Levinson audio system. Like I said earlier, we got this car in order to test it again, to see has Lexus been improving their sound systems over the last few years. Unfortunately, the answer is no. Again, check the link below. We've got copyright-free music where I test the sound system thoroughly, but disappointment in the way that the lower mid-ranges, the lows and the mid-ranges, lower mids, fade out using the door faders, door woofers. I can't talk this morning, I'm sorry. But very frustrating that the system is not up to where it should be. One, for an $86,000 luxury crossover, but two, for a Lexus with a Mark Levinson. Cars that were up at my very tippy top with the outgoing GX and LX. Very disappointing that this is what we've got here in this one. And then next, yes, the styling. I was debating on whether to put styling as a con because it's not that bad, but then I saw a Lexus RX pulling in front of me here on the drive over this morning, and I thought, that is such an attractive vehicle. This one, it looks more like AI designed a luxury crossover. If you just said, make me a red luxury large crossover vehicle, this is what I would see AI putting out. It's kind of aggressive, kind of soft, kind of boxy, kind of sleek. I don't really care for the big painted grille on this 550h model, but I also don't think I would appreciate a black grille either. So it's just kind of tough for me because, again, with the Grand Highlander, I get it. It's a utilitarian type vehicle. It's a box. Yes, it's nice to be in, but its functionality is first. And when I get into a luxury vehicle, I struggle a little bit more with form sort of following function. And the styling on the TX definitely looks like a car where form follows function. I like the wheels. I like the chrome. I guess I like the back perfectly fine. But yeah, something about the front, just doesn't do it with me. I every time I walk up to it in the driveway throughout the week, it's kind of a strange looking car. Next con, these steering wheel controls. Lexus has been using these since the updated NX years ago. At this point, I think like 4 years ago. I still don't like them. You have to sort of rub your thumb on them to get them to engage and then click. And Lexus has it so that you can use them for multiple functionalities, but I find them frustrating to use. I just want to change my track, for example. I'm driving around, I'm on the highway, new song comes on, I don't like it. I can't just tap that button. I have to fondle it a little bit first, wake it up, engage it, then click the button. I don't like that. I was just in the Sienna that has the exact same button layout, but they're physical. I like that. They work better. This is not luxurious. This is a pain in the butt. Luxury should be simple and straightforward and easy, like so much of the rest of the car is. I wish they would ditch these controls. Next con, going back to the plug-in hybrid. Some people like to say, oh, a plug-in hybrid gives you the best of both worlds. No, it just gives you both worlds. In fact, it often gives you the worst of both worlds because this car is less efficient on electricity than it would be if it were a full EV, and it's less efficient on gasoline than it would be if it were simply just a basic 3.5 liter V6, or even better, 3.5 V6 hybrid. Yes, it's powerful, yes, it's smooth, but then you got to remember to plug it in every night. And data shows, I'm not telling you, there are plenty of people who, I love my plug-in, I plug it in, charge it every night, I barely use gasoline. That's great. But market data shows that a significant portion of plug-in hybrid owners don't charge their vehicles regularly and simply end up using them as normal hybrids. So on paper, the advantages of a plug-in hybrid are great, but I'm telling you that there are plenty of people who actually would prefer the simplicity of just a normal hybrid vehicle and not have to worry about finding a charger, not have to worry about plugging in, not have to have the extra complexity in their vehicle. And not only that, you have the cost aspect too. I mean, I'd have to compare exact trim to exact trim, but I think it's very unlikely that you'd ever recoup the cost of paying extra for this plug-in model. It's more enjoying the smoothness, the quietness, and the power of the plug-in hybrid. But from a cost perspective, I still think you'd probably be better off just going with the normal hybrid TX. That's why I think it's so smart that Toyota ended up making the Sienna just a normal hybrid as opposed to making that a plug-in to compete with something like the Pacifica. Last con, the driver monitoring system. More and more new vehicles, especially those with more robust active lane keeping and self-driving functionality, more of them are coming with driver monitors. You got to have a camera to watch the driver to make sure they're paying attention and they're not asleep. But there's something about Lexuses where I'll be driving along. I was with my in-laws earlier this week. We were driving along, going through something slow like this, and I was looking around, and the car's beeping at me. No other vehicle that I drive ever beeps at me as much for just casually looking away in a situation where I've got one eye on the road, I'm kind of looking off, checking out some scenery or something like that. No other brand of vehicle beeps at me as much as the Lexuses. So then you get this situation where, you can just turn it off. Well, then I don't get the full functionality of my vehicle, and it's not as safe. So why is the Lexus system so picky and touchy and finicky and beepy, whereas every other one, Tesla, for example, the whole car will drive me, and it's never yelling at me as much. So frustrating there. Wrapping up my thoughts here on the Lexus TX, particularly this 550h Plus model. It's a big brain sort of car. And what I mean by that is it's a little bit of a nerd car. And I struggle to see the Venn diagram intersection of buyers who are astute and shrewd enough to take full advantage of a plug-in hybrid vehicle and want the functionality of a vehicle that's so function over form like this TX, but are still willing to splurge for the Lexus model. I hate to say it, but this feels very much like the Grand Highlander. And the Grand Highlander is going to cost less. You can probably put regular gasoline in the Grand Highlander, maybe not the plug-in hybrid, but at least the more basic versions of the Grand Highlander, whereas the Lexuses all need premium. And so for somebody who goes to themselves, okay, I'm kind of a tech nerd, I'm kind of a driving nerd, I want to utilize the plug-in hybrid aspect, but I'm also okay with spending $86,000 on a vehicle that really doesn't have that pizzazz and that real luxury feel. I don't know. I really don't know. Now, don't get me wrong. I fully, like I said at the beginning of the video, I recognize Toyota needed this car, and I'm sure it's selling decently well because, again, there are people who just go into a Lexus dealership and they've got a family and they say, hey, I want a 3-row, I want it from Lexus, and I don't want the GX or the LX. So this is better. This is better for most people than those two cars. I agree. But for the really shrewd shopper, for those looking at all options, the Grand Highlander to me makes more sense in most situations. This TX just doesn't have the luxury quotient of other Lexus vehicles and of Lexus vehicles in the past. And not only that, but some of the luxury aspects arguably make it worse, like the steering wheel controls, like some of the climate controls, like this Mark Levinson sound system, and like the cost. But before we wrap up, we do need to put the TX on the Daily Motor Leaderboard. Current leaders of the Daily Motor Leaderboard: Kia K4, Toyota Sienna, and Hyundai Ioniq 9. This is going 5th place so far. No, sorry, 6th place, right below the Subaru Outback, the new one, and above the Subaru Crosstrek. It's, like I said, it's the right vehicle for a very select person, and that person's going to be very happy with it. But in general, I would go with a more basic TX. I would go with a Grand Highlander. I'd go with an RX. I'd go with a GX. There's just so many other reasons to buy those cars. But hey, if this is perfect for you, you're not going to be disappointed. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the TX, check the link below. We've got all those other videos. Big shout out to LazFit for sponsoring, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.